Christmas morning was supposed to be quiet. The kind of quiet where inboxes stay untouched, phones stop vibrating, and league executives finally get a break from months of pressure. But that calm didn't last. Because somewhere around mid-morning, a single Nike commercial flipped the entire mood inside the WNBA. What followed wasn't celebration or pride. It was panic, emergency conversations, tense calls, and a level of silence that said far more than any public statement ever could. And the wild part? The ad itself didn't break a single rule. What it shattered was something much more fragile. For months, league leadership had been riding a strange mix of momentum and tension. Viewership was up, attention was everywhere, but so were controversies. Online debates felt less like sports talk and more like culture wars. Every week brought another argument, another clip, another headline. By the time the holidays arrived, the hope was simple. Let the noise die down for a day. Let football and NBA games dominate the headlines. Let women's basketball breathe. That plan lasted until Nike decided to drop a 30-second message that changed everything. Nike didn't tease it through league channels, they didn't coordinate with team accounts, they didn't soften the message or wrap it in league branding. They went direct, clean, polished, unapologetic. Caitlin Clark, front and center, snow on the ground, distance shots, familiar locations from her life, and a simple line that hit harder than anyone expected: from anywhere. Just like that, what was supposed to be a peaceful holiday morning became a full-blown crisis at league headquarters. At first glance, it looked like a normal superstar endorsement. Big brand, big athlete, big moment. But the reaction behind the scenes suggested something deeper was happening. Because this wasn't just about selling shoes, it was about control. The WNBA has always operated on a collective philosophy. No single player is supposed to outshine the league. The brand comes first. Equal promotion in theory, shared spotlight in practice. That system works fine until a real superstar shows up. And Caitlin Clark isn't just popular, she's disruptive. The kind of player whose presence bends systems instead of fitting into them. Nike didn't present her as part of a larger machine. They presented her as the machine. The commercial didn't feel like sports marketing. It felt like a movie trailer. Cinematic shots, emotional callbacks, guest appearances from people whose names alone carry global reach. This wasn't a favor to the league. It was a declaration. What made the message even louder was what Nike chose to leave out. There were no prominent league logos, no legacy montages, no nods to collective growth or shared history. This wasn't about women's basketball as a whole. This was about one person, one journey, one brand. The driveway became a stage. Snowfall turned into symbolism. Distance wasn't just about range on the court. It was about reach, influence, independence. That's where the alleged panic started to make sense. When your job revolves around maintaining balance, optics, and authority, watching a sponsor broadcast that your approval doesn't matter feels less like marketing and more like rebellion. Nike didn't ask. They didn't coordinate. They didn't wait. They pressed publish and let the internet do the rest. And once that happened, the questions started coming fast. Who's really in charge here? Who controls the narrative now? The timing couldn't have been worse. Just weeks earlier, the league had publicly backed an equity-focused offseason venture. It was marketed as the future, a solution for exposure, a step forward for pay and visibility. Behind closed doors, that venture reportedly offered Caitlin Clark a massive deal. Big money, minimal commitment, a chance to headline something new. She said no. And when she did, the narrative flipped on her. Suddenly, she wasn't doing enough. Suddenly, she was being framed as someone walking away from responsibility. Then Christmas morning arrived, and in half a minute, Nike erased that storyline completely. The engagement numbers told a brutal story. That one commercial generated more attention in a single day than the competing venture managed across its entire launch. Not slightly more, exponentially more. The kind of gap that makes executives quietly remove slides from presentations. The kind of data that forces uncomfortable truths into the open. Caitlin Clark's star power wasn't being created by the league. It was pulling the league forward whether leadership liked it or not. And once that reality sets in, negotiating power disappears. Because stars don't work for exposure, they work for value. This wasn't a low-effort holiday post. This looked like Super Bowl level production. Serious money, serious planning, serious belief, and it highlighted a growing gap that no one could ignore. Here was an athlete generating massive revenue and attention externally, while the league itself still struggled with production quality, limited distribution, and pay structures that didn't come close to reflecting her worth. Ownership wasn't thrilled either. When your most valuable asset becomes a marketing phenomenon and none of that money flows through your system, tensions rise quickly. Why wasn't this coordinated? Where's the return? Why does it feel like we're watching from the sidelines while someone else cashes in? Those questions don't stay theoretical for long. The situation also poured fuel on existing player frustration. Caitlin Clark's campaign looked like a blockbuster. Other stars, equally accomplished, received campaigns that felt routine. Fair or not, perception matters more than intent. In sports marketing, presentation shapes reality. And the reality many saw was premium treatment for one athlete while others got standard packages. That kind of imbalance doesn't need logic to create resentment. It just needs visibility. The league was already walking a tightrope. Hard fouls were being reanalyzed. Competitive moments were turning into social debates. Every confrontation risked becoming a statement. This commercial didn't just disturb that balance, it shattered it. Because once basketball becomes symbolic instead of competitive, the product itself starts to suffer. Nike pushed the boundary even further by ignoring tradition altogether. No tributes, no ceremonial respect for the past, no careful positioning within established hierarchies. They placed Caitlin Clark alongside global male superstars and dared anyone to question the comparison. For longtime supporters and retired players who value legacy, that felt dismissive. For younger fans, it felt inevitable. Two completely different interpretations colliding at the same moment. Then there was the comment that never really went away. The one about gratitude, about appreciation. It was meant as a power move, a reminder of who provides opportunity. But statements like that age badly when the balance of power shifts, and this commercial served as the cleanest response possible. No interviews, no arguments, just proof. Without saying a word, it showed that Caitlin Clark doesn't need permission to matter. She delivers audiences. She moves products. She commands attention. And once that becomes undeniable, everything changes. Because now the question isn't whether she fits within the league, it's whether the league deserves her. And that's a terrifying question for any organization built on control. Once independent ventures start sounding smarter than official pathways, the ground begins to shake. Sponsor-backed tours, international exhibitions, alternative formats. None of those ideas feel unrealistic anymore. They feel logical. Major brands understand this. Media companies understand this. They see the data, they see the engagement, they see what happens when one person outperforms entire systems. That's why the anger reportedly felt so intense. Anger is easier than admitting vulnerability, easier than acknowledging that traditional strategies no longer apply. The international reaction added another layer. From Anywhere promised global reach, but fans outside the US quickly realized they couldn't access the products being advertised. Confusion turned into frustration. Frustration turned into backlash. And once again, league leadership found itself managing expectations for a level of star power the system was never designed to handle. Here's the irony. That commercial didn't create the problem, it revealed it. The fury wasn't about shoes, it was about narrative control slipping away. About realizing that transformation arrived early and didn't bother asking for approval. Christmas morning was supposed to be peaceful. Instead, it delivered the year's most uncomfortable message. The league can preach collective success forever, but audiences have already chosen their favorite. And once that choice is made, no amount of messaging can reverse it. From that point on, momentum leads. The organization follows. Every press release sounds defensive. Every attempt to redirect attention feels forced. The system was built to distribute attention evenly, not manage gravitational pull. So yes, the anger made sense, not because rules were broken, but because reality was acknowledged. Influence shifted, authority cracked, and women's basketball's next chapter made it clear it might not wait politely for permission. When one advertisement can rewrite power dynamics overnight, the silence that follows isn't calm, it's anxiety.